Ah, new build, guys, for last Epoch, patch 8.1. We have a Flurry Dancing Strikes build based around Bleed, and I called it also a Weaboo Luca build because he loves dual wielding swords, like Sword Art Online, don't you? Yeah, didn't expect that shout out, huh? Anyways, the concept is rather simple. We have two swords, we attack fast, we have a high bleed chance, and we stack bleed instances on our enemies. Basically, what is going on here, just a quick rundown. Shift is usually used for buffs. Flurry is my single target because it's really very strong. It attacks very quickly, stacks a lot of bleeds. Decoy is also used defensively here. I just want enemies to just like run to my decoy and not to me if possible, while I just go around and bleed them. And that's it. They die, right? And of course, I picked Dancing Strikes simply because, well, I just wanted to have a bit more mobility. And when Dancing Strikes, I can just have more mobility, man. Just click one button and run around. And no, of course, you have to click other buttons, and not everything is going to be this easy, right? Don't imagine that you're going to go into 100 monos and be like, I'm just going to press secondary click until everything dies on my screen. Um, Bleed Rogue, basically, Bladedancer or Marksman. I I'm still not convinced if these things are in a good position or not because compared to other build types like direct damage types, for example, whether it's spells or melee attacks, um, dude, your enemies are alive for a lot longer. They are alive for a lot longer. And during that time, they still hit you. It's not like they're just looking nice around you, right? And because of that, it's just, I don't know. I think that defensive wise, it might get tricky until you get to one point. Speaking of which, what are my main defensive for this build? Because as you can see, my resists are trash. I don't have anything capped to the regular 75. I'm doing a void monolith. Well, it's not an empowered monolith, but still with 56 void resistance, and that's basically because of dumb luck. That because I have one exalted piece here that I can cap my void resist with, but it's absolute garbage, so I don't even want to wear it. The concept of this build is we're using two swords, as I mentioned, for two reasons. One, swords are the fastest attacking weapon in the game. We can put whatever affixes we want on it as well. Like, that's not going to be an issue. And the idea is that swords also grant you something very specific, which is if we go into our talent tree, I picked the Bladedancer for this. Weapons of choice is very interesting. It gives 5 points when you have two swords equipped to 5% glancing blows, which caps at around 40% as we see here. Combined with glancing blows here, glancing blows here, and the idea that you can gain Dust Shroud when hit, which also gives you 5% glancing blows, you can get to a neat 100% glancing blows chance. Like right now, I'm 66. And the idea is to try to keep it up as much as humanly possible because glancing blows um, do 35% less damage to you, which is why I have zero resists. The entire concept of the build is dodge, and if anything hits you, it's going to be 35% less. Now, I know that elemental resistances that are capped are basically going to give you about 42% reduction. So if you have 75% resist versus if you have less than that, yeah. So 35% is less than 45. But it gives me a lot of affixes that I can use for other things. Capping resist right now in Last Epoch is such a pain in the ass, to be honest. I always feel like I'm not doing the right things. Okay, I have a tanky boy. What am I going to do against him? Well, I'm not going to use my dancing strikes. I'm going to put down bomb, summon something, and then I'm going to use flurry. Because flurry, well, flurry attacks incredibly quickly and it's a better single target than dancing strikes for me right now. And that also explains my little concept here of why I picked two skills. I'm okay with having two skills, like one single, uh, one AOE type thing. That doesn't bother me even in the slightest. Let's get out of here. now that we showcase the build and how it should function. And I'll explain my gear choices, my passives, and some general ideas about how strong this archetype of dot melee rogue is right now in Last Epoch. So, name of the build is Crimson Katana because it's gay and I like it because I have to use katanas. They're literally the best weapon in the game for me. Fast attack speed, 125. As you notice here, my affixes are melee attack speed. The faster you attack, the more bleeds you're going to stack. Physical damage, because physical damage percentage increases both the initial hit of physical skills but also bleed, which is a physical type dot. This is the best affix you can put on a sword. Bleed on hit is T5 and on this one, which is really, really strong. Health on kill is useless, but this is what I gambled, okay? Technically, it should look more like this with percent dodge at the end. Because even if we have just 31% dodge, because my gear is absolute garbage, once you get higher up and you start getting good gear, it's not impossible to have 50% regular dodge just sitting in a monolith, empowered one, at level 100 because of how strong this percent dodge affix is here. This isn't even like tier 5, it's just tier 2 and it's already 30%. My choice of gear, I have wing guards here because I don't care about crits. They do nothing for my dots. They give me up to 40% melee attack speed, a ton of flat dodge, chance to gain haste on hit for 1 second. Haste increases movement speed by 30%. Dancing Strikes also has the movement tag. Interesting. I wonder if that's going to come into handy at one point. I think it will. I think it actually kind of hastens animations when you actually get it, right? I think it actually hastens the animation a bit because it does have a movement tag. We'll see why that is important. For rings right now, I'm using double gold rings because of their implicit resists with fizz damage, fizz over time, health, dodge. Fizz damage, fizz over time, health, and in this case, I have 40 fizz resist because that's what it had. Boots, movement speed, and health. If you need anything else, you're not doing the build right. In this case, I chose Herborian boots because you'll see I actually have a better relic here to equip, I think. I'm going to look through this trash later. I have a better relic to equip, which is actually the best in slot relic, I believe, for me, which is a ruby dice. And I crafted one that turned out almost not horrible. And you're going to see why I picked cold resist boots instead. You can't even use it. So this is it. This is the best implicit here, basically, because it has bleed chance on top. Yeah. So I made two of them, and I can't use any of them right now because I'm not level 62 yet, but this is technically the best thing. It has up to 40 fire resistance. It has 32 chance to bleed on hit, which is kind of huge. Right now I'm just using a very shit one, but this is what I had, right? And for belt, dodge on use, fizz damage, because again, it scales both the initial hit and the bleed. And then I have a resist and tier 5 hybrid health, which is the most important one. What are the damaging affixes that we need? Well, damage while wielding a sword is really strong because again, it increases the initial hit, but also being generic damage percent, the bleed effect. Here again, I just have vitality, dodge, and rating. For the chest piece, bleed chance per equipped sword is insanely, insanely, insanely good. In fact, I actually have a much better chest piece, a Crimson Garb, but I can't actually equip it yet because I'm not high enough level, but it's here somewhere in tab 7, I believe here. Look at this. Now that is a nice looking thing. 70% chance to gain Crimson Shower when using melee attack that hits. That doesn't seem a lot, but you also have quite a bit of it from you have quite a bit of it from the tree. This actually had a damaging factor to it because I also had tier 5 bleed chance per equipped sword, which is massive. Since you have two swords, this is basically 100% almost 98 to increase like chance to apply bleeds. Right now, for example, I'm sitting at 278 with 329 physical damage in the terms of the bleed dot. This is going to go up to like 700 something while buffed. And the damage number of how much bleed dot there is can be 1000 something. So I can triple the damage of the dot, and I can triple the chance to bleed with really, decent with decent gear compared to what this shitty character has. So let's explain my choice of passives for first. Again, bleed chance, physical damage, attack speed for offense. And for defense, we have dodge, glancing blows, and health. I didn't want to care about resists. So, attack speed, flat fizz. Good. Attack speed means more bleeds. 3 points into lethal cadence so we can go into disembowel. I don't understand people that play bleed characters and don't take disembowel. Every third attack inflicts 5 stacks of bleed. Are you kidding me? So, the best thing about this is that lethal cadence gives you the damage bonus and expires after the third strike. I want you to pay attention here to this icon. It's going to go stage 1, stage 2, consume. When it consumes, that means I apply an extra 5 stacks of bleed. So let's see exactly how fast I'm going to do that. I'm going to press my flurry and we're going to count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, I I basically apply 5 extra stacks every 2 point something seconds, which means in the interval of about 10 seconds, I can have 20 bleed stacks on a guy that didn't take the talent, and 10 bleed stacks isn't nothing. If you're a bleed character, I cannot justify not taking this. Then we go into dodge and parry, because glancing blow chance is the main defense mechanic past dodge and health this character has, so I would say the third one if you want to take it like that. And it also gives flat dodge. We're dual wielding because we kind of want to. We have 2 swords. We can have double the affixes for dodge, for bleed, for attack speed, everything, right? So why not double it? Plus, we are not interested in the direct damage of the swords as much, only for leech purposes. So we can leech back some of our health just in case something hits us. So I don't care whether they do a lot of damage or not a lot of damage. In this case, taking a two-hander is idiotic, I think, because there's nothing you can do with it. It has a high base physical damage, some chance to bleed some of the implicits, but not nearly as much as you can get with using 2 one-handed weapons. And I have health gained on hit when I use a 0 mana cost skill and some mana, which is really cool because Flurry costs 0 mana, Dancing Strikes costs a whopping. Oh, it actually costs 3 mana. I didn't even notice. Your regen is so big, you don't even notice these things, to be honest. Like I never felt like I actually had to worry about having dancing strikes because my mana just keeps going up. However, my other utility things, for example, smoke bomb and my decoy, do kind of shred a bit of my mana, so I have to make sure that I'm ready for that when that happens, right? That's why Flurry is great. It gains a lot of mana, it attacks super fast, easy mode. And I'm also going to, interestingly enough, experiment with evasion because evasion says damage taken while moving -5 per point, less damage. Which means if I put 5 points and I keep dancing strikes, I take 25% less damage because it is a movement skill and it has a movement tag. So because of that, uh, evasion might be actually pretty nutty for clearing really difficult content. Then we go into Bladedancer, our main mastery of choice. What do we have here? Well, we have Cloak of Shadows because dexterity and glancing blow chance. Did I mention glancing blows? I think I mentioned glancing blows. Then we have Shroud of Dusk, which is amazing. It gives you 50 flat dodge, meaning the percent we put on our weapons is that much more useful, the percent dodge we get on our last affix on our weapons, and 5% chance to receive a glancing blow, meaning if you hit enough times, or if you, in this case, you have 24% chances when you get hit to get this, you can cap glancing blows to 100, and it's not even that complicated, at which point even boss attacks aren't going to be as threatening. I also have Veil of Night, which means 30% chance when I hit an enemy to gain Dusk Shroud and increase melee attack speed, which is perfect for this character. I also go into Blood Serpent's Blade, bleed chance per equipped sword 40, which means 80. I have to cap this out. This is insane. This is a lot of my bleed chance right now because it's just so good. 1 point into Scarlet's stream because, first of all, increased physical damage does increase bleed, but it's only a 5% per point. Melee bleed chance only 5% versus like 20 in this talent. I mean, come on, man. What are we talking about? Like, it's no comparison, right? And throwing attack bleed chance does nothing. I just wanted one of these points so I can get into Crimson Shroud. This is in the second type of Shroud that we use. So we have Dusk Shroud, chance when I get hit, chance when I hit, in Crimson Shroud. Crimson Shroud chance 40% when I hit for 4 seconds. It stacks up to 3 times and it gives me 50% bleed chance per shroud. So 150% chance when I have all 3 of them up and 15% less damage taken from damage over time. It's really good because generally when I hit bosses, I want to be right there and just stack my stuff up and not care about things and survive for the most part. Just move around for the really big attacks. So stacking more bleed chance is really good and very efficient. 4 seconds is enough for you to have 3 of them at the same time, up all the time. Blood Dance isn't that good because it's only melee damage leached as health, and that's uh. But however, the health leech rate might be really good. I'll have to experiment this when I get into my 80s and 90s in terms of level, because right now content isn't so difficult. I have 1 point in Flash of Steel. Damage while dual wielding, it's generic. It applies to bleed, but it's only 5 per point. Melee attack speed while dual wielding, only 2% per point. I mean, come on, this is kind of pathetic. What the hell? It's not a lot. And then we go into the main reason why I'm building this way, weapons of choice. You have up to 40% glancing blow chance while using 2 swords, which means my natural glancing blow chance, even without anything, is going to be about 71, or I think I'm missing a point, 73 or something, which means I don't need that many more stacks of Dusk Shroud, which grant 5% each, to get to 100. And sometimes I even had 12 Dusk Shroud uh, stacks, which is quite hefty. I have 1 point in Argent Veil because what Argent Veil does is when you drop below 70% health, you get Silver Shroud. And that means you dodge the next hit, guaranteed. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's one hit, you're going to 100% dodge it. And it also gives you 100 ward because if that hit, for example, had a dot component to it, and you would be at like 100 health, it would instantly kill you. And I think the devs said, just in case this doesn't go as planned, let's give them some extra words to give them a bit more time to get out of the way in case that one hit also has dot component, which bypasses dodge, it bypasses glancing blow chance, right? 5 points in the Cloaked Reaper. Health gained per stack of Shroud, 5. And you're like, you have 1400 HP. What the hell are you doing? As I mentioned before, you can have up to like 12 Dusk Shrouds plus 3 Crimson Shrouds plus maybe 1 Silver Shroud. So 15 multiplied by 5 when you kill an enemy or hit a rare boss or a rarer boss. So that's a lot. That is a lot. You can get like let's take a conservative amount. Let's say 12. 12 multiplied by 5, that's like 60 every hit. Plus, naturally, when you're flurrying, 16 here. So you can get kind of some decent leech. That combined with like generic percent leech, which also affects dots. So not melee leech, not spell leech, not anything, just generic leech. I think I can make this a pretty sustainable dodge tank, which was basically the purpose. You can also get some armor and dodge per perfection. We're going to see what we're going to do with this side of the tree. This is just crit. We don't care. This is low life. We don't care. This is flow and shadows and other things. We don't care. So one good thing is we don't have a lot to invest in. It's pretty limited. Let's see how I set up my skills now that we understand how the build works. I think this is a good opportunity. Flurry, main damage, hit fast, do plenty bleed. That's the point. We have 1 point in alacrity, 1 point in attack speed. This can kind of caps up to 10 quite quickly. I think this is also going to be my last point. I think it goes attack speed per hit 4, maximum attack speed 20, which is going to be a better increase than just getting 5 extra attack speed here. Then I went into Vile Tactics. I only put 2 points because I'm only interested in bleed chance, not poison chance. I'm not transforming my poison chance into bleed chance with any mechanics right now. I don't have any conversion of that kind. So poison strike isn't like chance to poison isn't doing anything for me. However, the chance to shred physical resistance is pretty decent. Even if it's only on the third strike, it happens quite often. You see how fast I attack with Flurry. I mean, what's the third attack? What's the third attack, right? It's really, really fast. That's 2 points here because we have better things to invest in. We have lethal vector, damage over time multiplier with your bleed. So even if your bleed is something like 300 something as mine is right now, I have 20% multiplier on top of the percent increases. And then I get 30% effect, which is also effectively multiplier with the other increases. So these two are incredibly fortunately designed nodes to be so close to something that you primarily need. In other words, bleeds inflicted by Flurry are a lot stronger, as much as dots can be, compared to most other sources. That's why I also didn't go with Rupture or Puncture, because I just felt like Flurry is doing a very good job, and for the purpose of leeching, I want to get health when I hit things, which is easier to do with Flurry because it's so fast. Here we go into 2 points of Adrenaline Rush. Notice that the mass stacks is 4 right now. We put 1 point for duration in inexhaustible, and then strained reflexes, because here I can keep increasing the number of stacks by 3. So now I have 7 stacks, but with a reduced chance of them happening. So it's not 20%, it's going to be 14%. And I get 9% bleed chance per stack. So if I have 4 plus 3, 7 multiplied by 9, 7 multiplied by 9. That's not so bad. For each hit of Flurry, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, like 63% ain't nothing to scoff at total when it stacks up, of course. For Shift, what did I want with Shift? Well, with Shift, I don't need mana because this I can sustain, and this other thing doesn't cost anything. Like Flurry doesn't cost anything. I don't care about it. I have to put something in my corner here. All right. So what did I go with? Well, I went with increased damage because it's a not. I don't have Flurry as a channeled skill because most shift bonuses don't apply to channeled. Uh, some people might ask, why didn't you make Flurry a channeled skill? Well, because this only works with melee attacks non-channeling. So I can't use this with a channeling attack, meaning it would be wasted. I don't think it would be more effective anyway. 3 points here, so I can go down and pick movement speed after you shift. So after I use shift, I move faster for a second and then I slow down. A second might not seem like a lot, but trust me, in very high level monos is quite a bit. Healing amount 45, healing per point of dexterity 2. I'm going to have about 30 dexterity plus 45, so that's 100 basically health every time I shift. That's not nothing. It can help you against high stacks of bleed or stuff like that. It's not nothing. It kind of works. What else do we have? Bleed chance for the one attack I'm going to do after shift. I'm hoping this applies to all 3 hits of Flurry, but I'm not really sure. And 2 points into bleed effect and bleed duration. Because again, it's going to feel comfortable even if it's for the only one attack. It kind of helps a lot even with dancing strikes, killing trash mobs mainly, and with bosses you just like shift from one part of them to the other because bosses are kind of huge in this game. And whenever you do, you're going to get an extra bit of oomph. Since this is just my utility skill, I also wanted to get like emergency flask. If something gets me to below 50% and I shift, it automatically consumes a potion, so I don't have to worry about pressing 2 buttons at the same time. I just shift and it automatically drinks it up. I'm going to think whether or not it's necessary to take 3 very painful points in swift recovery so I can get invulnerable while shifting. But so far I haven't shifted into anything that could kill me. I kind of gotten a bit better at this game. Smoke bomb. Now, remember when I said that I need percent dodge as my second suffix on my swords because I want to have high dodge as well? Well, that means I don't have chance to shred armor because that's usually where people put it. So I just said, what can I do with smoke bomb that is just utility, like 100% utility? Find a boss, drop it. How do you get the most benefit? Well, like this. I'm going to get 5 out of 5 lingering fumes because I want it to be almost up as soon as the smoke ends, meaning this has a 10-second cooldown. I can get this to work to get like 6 seconds duration. So the time between when I don't have smoke bomb and I have smoke bomb is like only 4 seconds instead of being a whopping 6. It might not seem like much, but when you're fighting something like Lagon and you have just like a tiny little bridge with the giant eyeball monster literally eye screwing you, it might be useful for the duration to be smaller. The reason why I wanted it smaller is because first, when you kill stuff, you can gain Crimson Shroud, which is the thing that I mentioned with 50% bleed chance per stack, stacks up to 3. This is another way we can get it, so we just have more uptime on it. Starting area, I'm a melee character. I don't really care. If I was a bow character, I'd put more points in this, but I'm already there when I drop the bomb, so it doesn't matter. Frailty, only 1 second duration because I really wanted to get here to get more Silver Shroud stacks just in case something hits me for a phenomenal amount of damage. And of course, to cleanse my ailments in case I have bleed stacks on me, shock stacks on me, reducing my lightning resist, cold shred, which shreds my cold resistance. You get the point. There's plenty of things that you need to clear in this game. All right, what else? The natural thing, Shrouded in Darkness, which gives me glancing blow chance, 5%, flat dodge, and it gives me this for every 2 seconds. I gain the Dusk Shrouds, the ones that help me cap my glancing blows. And of course, Dusk Shroud frequency, 100%. I'll see whether or not something else is useful, like I put 1 point into radius and how fast it grows, just in case I have to shift out, and 1 point in slow, just because I feel like slow every second is okay. If you're fighting a boss, it's going to have slower animations. So that's what I did. Basically, I wanted it to apply frailty, slow, give me dodge in terms of Dusk Shroud, and cap my glancing blows. Decoy. Decoy is good. It's very mana hungry, but it's really good. Like even bosses sometimes just turn around and start attacking it instead of you, which is fantastic when your job is to sit in one place and just channel a skill and apply billions of stacks of bleed. 4 points into embedded spikes. This is a requirement for backup buddy, meaning I can put 2 of them. It's good because this way, even if they last lower, I feel like I get more use out of them. Like for example, a boss might have a combination of attacks that it does in a pattern, and it might need 2 decoys to survive that by drawing its attention elsewhere. Not to mention that when I drop it, I get some serious benefits. For example, I get 200 flat dodge. Remember how I said that the last affix on my swords is going to be dodge percent? Well, add 200 flat to that because this is pretty huge. This is going to make you have decent dodge even in level 100 monos without issues. Then we go the regular route with mana efficiency. I put 2 points in sonic detonation, which means I get 2 stacks of frailty plus 1 stack from smoke bomb. And I get 2 armor shred stacks. And after that, I'm going to get 5 extra armor shred stacks with, I believe, 75% increased duration. So I might not have armor shred on my weapons crafted, but this is how I get it. Remember, armor is efficient 100% versus physical, but half effective for other damage types, which means it's 100% effective versus the kind of damage that I do, which is bleed damage. We can't have that, so we have to shred it. We have to make it go away. And this is also the reason why I'm going to max this out to get to do as close to true damage to the boss as I can. And I picked up Dancing Strikes just because Flurry is annoying. Like, if this was my main attack skill, look at how small it is. Like, sometimes, let's say that this Anya, of course, let's say that she's an Osprix. Like, if I sit like here, sometimes I don't even hit them. I don't even hit them. I know that the animation hits them, but I don't even hit them. And they're just channeling and casting spells into my ass or hitting me with spears, and I'm just sitting there going like, I can't reach you. And I don't like it. I just like, okay, for bosses, maybe it works, because I can just like hug the boss and that's fine. But when I have like 60 mobs, uh, you know, running around me and closing in, what am I going to do? And this seemed to be like the best idea. So I said, how am I going to make it uh, do what I needed to do? How could I adapt this dancing strikes thing to my bleed archetype? Well, turns out it wasn't that complicated. Physical penetration because we ignore physical resistance because we do a physical type dot. Bleed chance 40%. Not a lot, but with the other gear that I have and affixes that I'm going to equip, it might be good. It's still something. It's more than something. And I was surprised about trickling cuts. First time I read this, it said 2% more damage, and I said, 6%, that's not nothing. But you know what the deal is? It's every time you use it. So let's have a look here. I'm going to go to other stats. I'm going to move my camera out of the way. Notice my bleed damage is 329. Every time I click Dancing Strikes, it keeps going up, and it keeps going up. And it kind of stops at like 377, technically speaking, if I had a little bit more attack speed. Now, 377 is kind of big compared to 329 because I did that with 1 point. With 3 points, it's going to be 6% more each time I basically keep my right mouse clicked, which means I'm going to clear slightly more efficient, even trash mobs in high monos, which is why I took sorry, Dancing Strikes 4. That's the reason why I took it, right? Okay, now that we talked about this, anything else that I needed to look at? Yes. Area 40%, but it's still really small. Come on, guys, can you give us like melee skills that feel okay that are not Warpath? I mean, what's with the tiny area? That's such a cop out. I know, class fantasy. How much range do you want with swords? But come on, man, what the hell is this? This is just like it doesn't even go full circular. Like I can be attacking in front and mobs at behind me are going to attack me willy-nilly. At least make it like a flurry of hits that attacks everywhere, including behind. Maybe it breaks class fantasy, but this is what we need. This is unacceptable. You can't possibly expect me to clear 100 empowered monos like 500 deep with this thing when anything behind me can just willy-nilly attack me. We need to fix this somehow. Come on. Anyway, where was I? Okay, 1 point in armor shred chance, just because it's good, even for trash clears. But here's the interesting thing. Rhythm stacks. Rhythm stacks 4 with 2 points. So if I go to 10, it's going to be, sorry, if I go to 5 out of 5 rhythm, it's going to give me 10 stacks. It gives me increased global damage, and each rhythm stack lasts 2 seconds, which means if I keep clicking Dancing Strikes, it's going to be fine. I'm going to keep it up. I put 1 point into dodge rating because I get 10% per stack of rhythm. If I have 10 stacks, that's 100% dodge. And 3 points into refined cuts because if I get 10 stacks, that means I have 150% bleed chance, which offsets this bullshit 40% and makes this trickling cuts that much more impressive in the end. I'm going to put 2 points into eluding step just because while I'm dancing striking, notice my dodge rating. Uh, it's pretty beefy. It's not even that bad. We also have to fix the fact that dancing strikes just sometimes stops if I keep it. Can we make it so that if I keep it like clicked, it actually works, please? Because sometimes you just sit there with like two like huge monsters in front of you and you just go, what was I doing again? And then you die. I mean, come on, at least make melee skills feel fluid. This is a rogue, goddammit. It has to be fluid. And I just wanted to show you one last thing before I depart, um, which is let's have a look at what happens when you attack and you stack all of these passive mechanics and buffs and stuff like that. And the way I wanted to do this is I want to show you my bleed damage and bleed chance. Once I drop smoke bomb, throw a decoy that's going to make most bosses turn around and look at it and attack it instead of me. And let's see how high my defenses stack with this, because again, I mentioned that I don't want to care about resists at all if possible. I would have everything to 0 if I knew I could survive. Trust me, they're annoying. This is my dummy. Right now I have 278% bleed chance and 329 bleed damage. This is less than half that you're going to have when you're like level 90 with proper gear, even if it's not perfect gear. You're going to have at least double bleed chance and double the damage. And let's see exactly what happens with my dodge chance, which is 31%. And my glancing blows is at 61, meaning if you see four shrouds on me, it's like those blue ones, 3, 4, that's it, I'm capped. So I have 6 stacks of Dusk Shroud. And as you see, I can keep them up rather comfortably. It's not that bad. So right now I have over 100% um, over 100% glancing blow. That was a 16,000 bleed tick on a dummy, which is not impressive. But again, this character has shit gear and it's level 60. Let's see what happens if I do this. So when it comes to other stats, suddenly my bleed chance seems to be a bit more interesting because it can grow up and it can grow up and it can grow, it can grow, it can grow. That is pretty juicy bleed chance, 482 right now. Plus the bleed damage type works, but the bleed chance is a bit bugged. You have slightly more sometimes. The screen doesn't calculate very well what you're doing. By the way, I have like 48% dodge right now. Again, throwing things. And my dodge chance is getting pretty good for having like absolutely 100% glancing blow chance to have like also 50% dodge on top of that. Pretty nifty, man. Pretty nifty. This build could literally be the leech tank of my dreams that I can kill God Hunter Argentus on an empowered mono, or basically try to see what the end of a level 200 arena looks like, I hope. I haven't tried that yet. We're going to see. But that's it for now. Shout out to my boys killing Firelance Heroic and doing Dragon Souls like they ain't nothing. Forever in my heart. Hope I'll see you guys next time. Hope you give this build a try. It's not bad. It's pretty well calculated. I'm hoping everything is going to be okay. And let me know what you think, right? Until I decide to make a new cookie build. See you boys next time. Good luck, bully gang. Kill lots of bosses, yes? Good night.